I want to call the town council meeting. Today is Monday, October 20th. I'm going to ask Councilor Clancy to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilor. And Sue, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Lesser,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Forrest,
Here.
Councilor Bailey, Councilor Carbone,
Here.
Councilor Clancy,
Here.
Councilor Jurek,
Here.
Councilor Rhodes,
Here.
Councilor Timbrow, Councilor Zambrello. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. First item on the agenda is a presentation proclamation for Italian Heritage Month, and I'm going to read the proclamation. Italian American Heritage Month, October 2025. Whereas over 26 million Americans of Italian descent currently reside in the United States, making them the 5th largest ethnic group in the nation. And whereas this month-long celebration recognizes the many contributions and achievements of Italian Americans, as well as their enduring impact on countless facets of our shared experiences, including in the arts, humanities, and sciences. And whereas in 1880, Italians began migrating to the United States to flee rural poverty in southern Italy and in Sicily. And in the early 1900s, thousands of Italian immigrants came to the United States in search of a better life, just like many other immigrant groups. And whereas by the second half of the century, Italian Americans excelled in every career field, religion and family have also remained important parts of the Italian American heritage throughout the years. Now hereby, Ken Lesser, Mayor of the town of Wethersfield, do proclaim October 2025 as Italian American Heritage Month in Wethersfield. And I want to present this proclamation to Al Marino, Unico Vice President, and Bob Donatelli, who is the district governor. I think I got that right. And thank them of Unico for all that Unico does. And I know Unico is going to be celebrating its 50th anniversary in 2027. Yes,
Thank you very
yes. And maybe if you guys want to take one, you can say one or two words about Unico. You can do it now. If you want to say anything about Unico, or thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor. I've been a member of Wethersfield Unico since 1987. My dad was a charter member of the Hartford Unico, and it's always been about heritage and what we can do for the community. And our chapter in Wethersfield has done a lot, as most of you know. Some of you here may have children that got scholarships. We give out over $25,000 just in scholarships and Brian Piccolo Awards. I know you guys have a big agenda and have a lot to do. This time I turn the floor over to my good friend Al Marino, who is also a past district governor.
Thank you all. Thank you very much, members of the council. Mayor Lesser, thank you. We're very, very humbled by this. It's really important. You know, we do a lot of work in town, as you all probably know. Many of you may come to our macaroni dinner or maybe participate in our golf tournament, and all that money that we raise is reinvested right in town, the local community, and the surrounding towns as well. But we're also part of Unico National, where there's almost 6,000 members. And in addition to doing important public work, our slogan is service above self. We also do a lot of things to preserve our Italian heritage, and being honored like this tonight means an awful lot to all of us because our culture and our heritage is so important. My grandparents came here from the Campania region of Italy, right outside of Naples, and I'm very, very proud to live up to the standard that they set for me and the legacy that they left many, many years ago. So thank you very, very much. We certainly appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Al and Bob, thank you for being here. Thank you for all that Unico does. And I love the pasta dinner. It's always the Sunday after the Super Bowl, and I usually have to park in like Glastonbury because you guys have such a great turnout at that event, and you do so much for our community. So thank you very much.
Everything is homemade.
Oh, everything is homemade. That's good. That's good. It's very good. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. So we're going to move on in our agenda tonight, folks, and our next agenda item is a presentation on Vision Zero. I know we had a couple questions on that at the last council meeting. Thought it'd be good to have a presentation. So Vlad is going to take us through a little more detail about the Vision Zero program. Yep.
Thank you for doing that.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks.
Nice to have you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Alrighty, so I'm Vlada Raganese. I'm the Director of Capital and Strategic Initiatives for the town. The Vision Zero policy had been adopted a couple weeks ago, or about a month ago, I believe on September 15th. There were a couple questions speaking to kind of more definition of what is Vision Zero, and so I would like to provide this report to speak to our pledge and to define Vision Zero a bit more, and then to also speak to some data that shows how we need the policy. And as you can see at the bottom, the pledge that we've supported through Vision Zero is to improve safety across all modes of transportation through the use of data, partnerships, safe planning, and community-based solutions to achieve a goal of Vision Zero transportation-related fatalities by 2050, and we'll go into that a little bit later. So what's in the report? So basically, the report, we're going to just go over what Vision Zero is, the current crash statistics, projects that support Vision Zero, both completed projects, current ones that we're working on, and the pledge. So, and these slides are directly from the report. The report's attached to the agenda. There's just a couple slides that aren't in here. It's just very data heavy, and so we'll just go through that. So what is Vision Zero? So basically, it's a strategy to eliminate all traffic fatalities and severe injuries, while also increasing safe, health, and equitable mobility for all on our roadways. There are 5 elements of Vision Zero, and they're strong and sustainable leadership, data collection and analysis and using that data to make decisions, an equitable approach and community engagement, so making sure that we're speaking to our community members and seeing what they need, speed management that's appropriate for roadways, and goal setting. So why Vision Zero? Basically, it's because it's a policy and principles that have been tried and true with measures that improve roadway safety in terms of reducing fatalities and serious injuries. So a traditional approach typically would involve stating that traffic deaths or injuries are inevitable, when Vision Zero really speaks to saying that they're not, they're preventable. We can keep them from happening. Traditional approaches typically state that human behavior is perfect, so we account and build our roadways that way. But obviously we know that humans make mistakes, we check our cell phones, we miss lights, things happen. To continue, traditional approaches sometimes say that we could prevent collisions, and yes, we can, but this is also saying that we want to prevent fatalities and serious injuries, and really hammering home that type of goal. Traditional approaches also usually state that it's the individual's responsibility to prevent crashes, when Vision Zero really says that no, it's a systems approach, it's us working together, it's policies, it's road design, and it's education, and a lot of other pieces that we'll talk about in a little bit. And also, traditionally, there's typically a thought that saving lives is expensive, but we can see that there are cost-effective ways that we can prevent deaths and fatalities. Okay, so now we're going to talk about a safe systems approach that I just mentioned on the last slide. So what is a safe systems approach? It's an approach that, again, acknowledges that people make mistakes. It focuses on the system as a whole. So again, planning, engineering, looking at data, really thinking about everything that goes into safety, from street trees to speed management to medians, and again, always using data to reinforce decision making. The safe systems solutions are also based on, as I mentioned, education of the public, evaluating that data, enforcement, so working with our policymakers and enforcement professionals like the PD and other folks to make sure that the policies and roadway rules are being enforced, and again, engineering the roads appropriately. So why the same systems approach? It takes that whole system into account. So really also thinking about post-crash care. How can we turn a crash that might have been a fatality into one that maybe would be an injury instead? How can we educate our users? How can we make sure that the vehicles on the road are safe, and other aspects there as well? Okay, so now we're going to take a look at crash statistics. I'm going to try to go through these quickly. It is all in the report unless there are questions. There's quite a bit of data, so I'm just going to highlight the items I thought were really interesting, but feel free to dig into the report. As I mentioned, it's attached to the agenda. So nationally, it does look as though crashes are somewhat decreasing from about 2021 to 24, but not by much. You know, we're still really hovering around that 40,000 figure of fatalities across the country. And with that said, in the US, we are still the highest ranking country out of the 29 highest high-income countries with crashes, and that's data from the Center of Disease Control. So there is more work to be done. I did think this was very interesting, looking at roadway crashes, and actually this one's for fatalities, for rural against urban classified roads across the nation. It looks like there was really an uptick in 2020 for urban crash or urban fatalities on roadways. So it's steadily been decreasing, but it's interesting that it really did increase. Maybe that's part of COVID or other driver behavior or other factors, but just interesting to note that and try to think of that when making decisions. So here's some crash statistics for Connecticut. We can zoom in here. I'm just going to point this one out. Between the years of 2022 and 24, you can see here that we're hovering right around 1,500, 1,600 total crashes involving pedestrians and bicyclists. On the right-hand side of that table, you can see the pedestrian and bicyclist fatalities in the state. I would say that's pretty high. So, and that's in the last 3 years. So there is a lot of work to be done in Connecticut as a whole, and we are ranked highest in our region for fatalities and crashes as well. And then to get more granular, because we are Wethersfield, we need to look at Wethersfield and how we can make and address issues at home. There's several pages that speak to the data and statistics in Wethersfield. So one item I do want to point out, in Wethersfield there's about 107 miles of total town-owned roads and about 20 of state roads. There's a little bit of data that'll follow that'll show that most accidents do happen on state roads in Wethersfield, particularly Route 99, the Silas Deane Highway, and the Berlin Turnpike, in addition to associated intersections on those roads. Here I'd like to focus on and show you the little breakdown here between 2020 and 24 for fatal crashes and serious injuries. As you can see, the fatal crashes kind of seem to be hovering around 2 to 4 per year, with a slight decrease in 2024, but serious injuries also are kind of around that 6, 7, 8, 9 number. So we would like to decrease those, and again, by 2050, decrease those fatalities to 0. Okay, so this is kind of that interesting data that I was looking at. Taking a look and potentially prioritizing where we want to focus projects is very interesting by taking a look at statistics where there are key intersections where crashes occur. As mentioned, during this time period of 2020 to 2023, there are 26, this is red light runs and crashes as a result of red light running on Route 99 and the intersection of Route 3. So that might be a potential location to take a look at for improvements. There are several other locations here, but that one really stands out. So just wanted to point that out. Okay. Okay, continuing with crash information. Number of fatalities by week. I thought it was very interesting that Sunday was actually the highest overall over between 2015 and 2024. So just interesting to look into why that might be happening. This is that item that I mentioned, fatalities by route class. It's again very interesting to see that the highest occurrences on state roads when there's only 20 miles of state roads in town as opposed to 107 of local. So that would involve working closely with DOT and our state agencies to make improvements. So here, again, some data for pedestrian crashes during this time frame, and this shows the volume of crashes in addition to severity. So we can see that between 2015 and 2024, there were 20 crashes that led to fatalities in Wethersfield. Okay. And then here again, crashes involving speeding. Here's just some statistics that show that there were, between 2015 and 24, 1,352 crashes due to speeding alone. Fatalities were about 5 with no apparent injuries, with these crashes being the primary occurrence, but possible injuries and other severities still present. Okay, so this is very interesting. I believe this is page 12 of the report. So projects that were completed that support Vision Zero and kind of the process of developing projects. So I'm going to jump to the bottom of the page and start with our complete streets reporting. The engineering and planning department had completed and presented the complete streets report about a month ago or so. So the items that they report on are on the left-hand side here, but I just wanted to point out projects that we could highlight, or to highlight from that report to show what we've already been doing and ones that are completed that support Vision Zero. One really interesting one that stuck out to me was that the first dedicated bike lanes were installed in 23 to the north end, the north end of Walcott Hill Road. The first grade crosswalk was installed on Main Street in 2023 in front of the Keeney Memorial Cultural Center. Roughly 300 signs, or over 300 signs, were improved, or improvements were made to signage over the last, or between 2021 and 2024. That's quite significant. And then there's some statistics down at the bottom with street tree plantings that happened in addition to street or tree removals due to either health, safety, or hazard concerns. So that also improves the safety of our roadways, if they're, because typically they are located in the right-of-ways here in addition to parks. I did want to touch on project developments, how we get to projects. Obviously, data collection is one of those things, but another one is completing studies and developing plans for projects and treatments. So the reason that this report is not a Vision Zero plan, as you may have seen in West Hartford or other municipalities, is because there are a number of plans being developed right now. So the timing to develop another Vision Zero plan that's all encompassing, wouldn't be a good time for that. We would need to let some of these plans be developed and potentially incorporate those or work off those. So I did want to highlight the bicycle and pedestrian master plan. Several months ago, or very recently, the town contracted with VHB to finish up this plan. It's been worked on since 2018, but came to a little bit of a halt during COVID, and now has come back. And the first meeting with the kickoff with the Bicycle Pedestrian Committee is going to be this week. So that's very exciting to keep this moving forward. The Silas Deane Highway Corridor Study, which you might have heard of, that plan is continuing. We're working with CDM Smith to develop that plan and treatments, so that's well underway. The Beaverbrook Master Plan and the Millwoods Master Plan, although those aren't necessarily roadway plans, there are treatments and considerations that involve trails and other small sections of road that would play into those plans. And then here are a couple projects that are currently being worked on and upcoming. So we did recently receive Transportation Alternatives Grant funding to close sidewalk gaps for our pedestrians and our bicyclists, and those gaps will be around the Charles Wright and Highcrest area. We are moving forward with automated traffic enforcement safety devices. That contract was recently completed, so that will be coming. We saw the statistics for red light running and intersection crashes, so that will be an important improvement. We mentioned the sign inventory and all of the sign replacements that have happened, so that's very exciting. We've worked with CROG on walk audits to locate other potential locations where we can make improvements. There's several others here, but I won't read them all off. We can take a look. And then I'd like to just close off with restating our Vision Zero pledge, which is to end traffic fatalities in Weathersfield by 2025. So it's a pretty lofty goal, but definitely having that goal set and making strides towards that with these projects, in addition to many others, is very exciting, and it's exciting to be a part of that and keep the work going both with our committees and our staff and our officials. So thank you so much. It's very exciting to be at this point and working towards zero fatalities.
Thank you.
Any
Thank you,
questions?
Vlada. Appreciate your report and all your work on this issue. And I will open it up to the council to ask any question or make any comments about the Vision Zero program. Anyone? Deputy Mayor Forrest.
Thank you, Mayor. Do you know, you made a connection, which was thoughtful, between the automated safety enforcement safety devices and the other graph, which was where a lot of the crashes are happening. Do you know where the speed cameras and the red light cameras are going in and how it relates to the other graph?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember the locations. I didn't write that down on here, but I believe they do correlate with the locations. I believe it's either 3 or 4 locations where they're going in. I just don't remember what they are.
Understood. Thanks. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Further questions or comments? Anyone? Seeing none, I'll say thank you again. We appreciate all your work and early congratulations. I understand you're due very soon.
Yep, about 7 days out, so very excited.
We could have a baby tonight here. We could have.
Hopefully not.
That would be a quick recess.
Thank you.
motion.
Congratulations,
Thank
Vlada.
you.
Congratulations. Thank
Wonderful.
you. We're going to move on, but before we get to public comment, and I apologize I didn't do this earlier, we have our Assistant Manager, Erica Robertson, here, filling in for our Town Manager, Fred Presley, who's on vacation. So welcome, Erica. Now, we're going to move on the agenda to public comment, and I'm going to read what I read each time. During the public comment period, members of the public will have 5 minutes to speak on any issue. We'll have a lighted timer at the podium to help each speaker be aware of the time remaining to address the council. When you stepped up to the podium, please state your name and address. At this point, the green light will come on, showing your 5 minutes has begun. The yellow light will come on when you have 1 minute left. And at this time, we ask you to begin to wrap up your comments. The red light will come up at the 5-minute limit. You're asked to complete your comments. When you make your comments, please address the council and not the audience. And I ask that you address your comments respectfully with no personal attacks. This section is for public comment, and the council will generally not engage during the portion of this agenda. If any follow-up is needed, please leave your contact information with the town clerk, and the town manager will follow up with you. So now I will open it up for public comment. Anyone from the public wishes to speak tonight? Melody. Name and address, yes.
Melody Volkampani, 59 Solar Terrace. Hello, I'm Melody. You can use they, her pronouns when referring to me. On Tuesday, October 14th, I heard of the unfortunate news of the passing of Miss Major. For those who do not know, she was a very fierce trans activist who took part in the Stonewall Uprising of 1969. Like most of us, she felt compelled to hit the streets to continue the fight for trans rights in 2023 by meeting LGBTQ plus people at local protests and local gay bars. Despite suffering a stroke in 2019 and being limited in mobility, she was able to travel around to different states across the country to meet with trans youth and have conversations with them. Miss Major knew that we all had to use our voices to speak out against injustice and against all the anti-trans legislation being introduced across this country. At the time of writing this, 1,000 anti-trans bills have been introduced across this country this year alone, ranging from blocking trans people from accessing basic health care, blocking them from getting education, legal recognition, and the right to even publicly exist. In Connecticut, 27 anti-trans bills have been introduced. I, like many others, know that silence will do us no good, and at a time when most people are afraid to speak out, I want to be their voice. While we have the federal government demonizing trans people, labeling us as terrorists, and trying to blame their failures of leadership on us, I am not going to be deterred or afraid to speak out. After reading about Ms. Major's advocacy for the trans community, I felt inspired to use my voice without fear and without regret. I will continue using my voice against the injustices brought by the federal government and will do all I can to advocate for the LGBTQ+ community right here in my town by help electing those who value us. The fight for equal rights, visibility, and well-being isn't only a government-level issue. We need to show people at the local level they belong here in their community and they are welcome and accepted for who they are. We can start by showing LGBTQ+ representation in probably one of the most important buildings in town, the public library. That is why I, being on the library board of directors, I'm going to make it my top priority that we focus on LGBTQ+ history and will not allow politicians to erase us from history or censor our voices. I also want to make a brief mention that I put in an informal request for a moment of silence for Ms. Major, and unfortunately that request was denied. This council will forever be on the record for giving a moment of silence to a far-right extremist who is on the record countless times saying the most horrific things about LGBTQ+ members, but refusing to give a single thought for someone who advocated for equal rights, regardless of sex or gender. While this council may be silent or hide away from certain issues, I will continue speaking out against them, no matter who may be sitting in front of me. I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Melody. Further public comment? Yes, please.
Laura Mullally for 46 Sunset Boulevard. I read through the packet, did a great job presenting. I'm excited that the town is focusing on the safety of pedestrians and cyclists. I have mentioned before that I have previously been an avid and competitive cyclist, raised all my children to be cyclists. And Weathersfield's been a great place to be that kind of active person. So this is exciting to see that we're going further in creating safety for pedestrians and cyclists. There's a certain amount of attitude that all this has to come with. We have to all, citizens, town council members, policymakers, have an attitude of we want people to be active in our town. We want people to walk and cycle. We want kids to cycle to school. We want people to use cycling and walking and running as a tool to improve their wellness and longevity and be happy people. And it's we can make all the laws in the world, but if people are careless and oblivious and single-minded, we get nowhere. So we need to hold people who break the rules and the laws accountable. 99% of the time when a cyclist is hit by a motor vehicle, the cyclist is blamed. And I can tell you from personal experience that that's unfair and unjust. No cyclist wants to get hit by a motor vehicle. it's life-changing. So I'm currently working with a nonprofit organization that is doing nationwide work with representatives in Congress, which I'm happy to be part of that as well. And I'm happy that the town is looking in that direction. But it has to come with we have to keep working on our attitudes and public service, saying to people, it's okay for pedestrians, runners, and cyclists to be using our sidewalks and our streets, and to be looking out for them, especially as more kids are riding bikes to schools these days. We need to be looking out for them and acting like a whole community. So I'm looking forward to learning more about what y'all are going to be doing and how you're going to be implementing some of the safety measures. Some of the things they're doing in West Hartford are, I hope we don't see them here. I said that before. Some of them are a little wonky, and we're a very welcoming town here. So I think that we can work together to make it pleasant for pedestrians, cyclists, working in conjunction and being predictable with motor vehicles. So I'm willing to do my part to help that town grasp and promote an attitude of welcomeness for safety for pedestrians and cyclists and runners and kids on bikes, etc., etc. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Laura. Further, Rob, did your hand go up? Yep, Rob, please. You brought a sign, too.
Show and tell. It's apropos show and tell, but Rob O'Connor, I'm 180 Main Street. I'm also here as a Weathersfield citizen, but also co-chair of Bike Walk Weathersfield with Kevin Sullivan, doing mischief in the area of bike and pedestrian safety for 8 or 9 years now. First of all, I'd like to start that is so impressive to see somebody from this town give a presentation like that. And I wanted to just thank Vlada for all the stuff she's done for us. When I say us, I mean Bike Walk Weathersfield and also everybody here, whether they know or not. Vision Zero is kind of it's a concept, but it has practical applications. And I figured I'd just be one of the examples of one of them. It talked about leadership. We've had leadership from our council. Everybody that's sitting here, whether they know what it means or not, has been participating in moving votes ahead and funding some of the programs. We also have started a program called Bike Safe, Walk Safe. So that's what our latest thing is, which is bike and pedestrian education in the 4th grades. Last spring, we started a pilot program in Hanmer and Charles Wright schools. Every child in the 4th grade gets a free bicycle helmet, and then multiple days of bicycle and pedestrian safety, how to cross streets safely, how to get out of your bus safely. And we're working with the Police Athletic League, who helped us with grants that they've received by a fleet of bicycles and a trailer, and their manpower and woman power have had volunteers. And I think without knowing it, we also, as the town came around to Vision Zero, what we were doing is sort of an example of what happens when Vision Zero gets pushed ahead as a concept and becomes a reality. We just finished 2 more elementary schools, and I think we're about 200 kids in this 2025. We'll do the other 3 schools in the spring, but 200 kids have received this bicycle education and a free helmet, and have learned lifelong skills that translate into safety, but they also translate into social norms and how to be a better driver when you get your license. And so my show and tell thing was we got this Vision Zero Department of Transportation Distinction of Honor for the school district. We had such great cooperation with the school system to put this in the kids' curriculum. I was a former Board of Education chair in South Windsor and know how hard it is to get things put into a curriculum, and this is going to be something that's just going to boom. The town is already, we went to Bike Walk Connecticut dinner last week, and they have Weathersfield up on the pre-dinner slideshow, and it's kind of like, it can be a thing that translates into a lot of things: safety for kids, Vision Zero in action, and also economic benefits. our town will really, some of these things that we work on that are all part of the plan come together and produce economic benefits. Slowing traffic down produces economic benefits, making it safe to walk and bike around Old Weathersfield and the Silas Deane, and maybe we get a trail built next to the railroad tracks that we can go 3 miles back and forth on the Silas Deane. All those businesses will benefit. So, gone on and on, but this is like our first step. But we will do, and one of the things I'll mention, by getting this award, we've also tapped into the Department of Transportation Safe Routes to Schools. We have their volunteers. We have them coming to our town, looking how to spread this around to other towns. So I think that's also an economic benefit for real estate values and people looking to move into our town. So, but I thank you all for everything you guys have done. And I hope the people of the next council continue pushing this along. So thanks.
Thank you, Rob, and thank you to you, Kevin, Tom, and all those involved with Bike Walk Weathersfield. You guys are making a big difference in our town to make us more bike and walk friendly. Further public comment, Mr. Young and Christine, I have you as well. Mr. Young.
Good evening, Robert Young, 20 Copper Mill Road. I've been listening about the bicycles, and I've been noticing on the highway in my neighborhood, they just go whizzing right through the stop signs. I don't know why we don't have more collisions, but you won't see me waving the flag when one of them gets run over, because they are dangerous on the road. And if they have any training, I think they forgot all about it. So I think your bicyclists are out there not paying attention, and I believe they should have some kind of penalties, and they should be pulled over by the police, just like we would with our cars. And they don't carry insurance, they don't have licenses, license plates that are issued to them, so you can identify them and notify somebody of a situation. So how do you and you're not going to stop them. You're not going to pull them over, not as a citizen. Only the police would do that. But I think something should happen in this case. You should put some kind of rules out there for these people. Next. Last week, I sent out a message to all the town council members and the town manager and the assistant manager regarding some analysis that I put together regarding the upcoming and the current tax increases that we've seen. I only heard from Mr. Durick out of all the 10 or 12, 11 people that I sent this to, and not a word at all from anybody else, which says contact me if you know there's something wrong about it. Otherwise, I assume it's correct. So I assume it's correct. So anyway, we have a situation here where the medium home, the Weathersfield medium valued home will increase this year by $1,007. That's half of the houses. There's 10,408 properties. Half of them will increase by $1,007 due to the revaluation and the operating costs of the town. As we go to the more, and that's a property that's valued, net assessed value of approximately $200,000. So my house is valued at $231,000, and I got hit with $564 increase this year. Mayor Lesser, he got hit with $6 increase. Council lady Carbone, she got hit with about 0. From what I can see, in real estate tax, not automobile, not any other tax, the real estate piece. So as we look at the $1,007 on the other side of the equation, which is the other half of the houses in town, they're all getting hit. They have smaller assessed values, and they're getting hit with as much as anybody else. And this is so discriminatory. This is, how can these people pay their bills? A lot of these people are on the fringe. And I don't, at this point, the medium home in the next 4 years, it's going to go up $2,200 in their property tax. That's an approximate. That's a lot of money to get hit by. And like I say, my house went up $564. And then I see other people, not to mention any streets, not to mention any names. I see zeros. I see 6.6% increases. I see 0. I see 0.5. I see 5%. I see 5.2%. I see 11%. I see 8.1%, another 11.4%. These are increases that these people just received in their local tax bill. And the next, as the manager says in his adopted budget, per year. I don't know how many years going out, but I suspect it'll be 3 more years having these big increases. Here I also show a 5.8%, an 8%, 6.7%. These people's homes are going to be hanging on the limb, Mayor, with these types of increases, one after the other, year after year. And then we're going to get into the payments to be made for the referendum. And that's going to continue. And these tax payments are compound. And they will compound and continue to compound. In the case of mine,
Thank you, Mr.
I'm
Young.
going to be looking at a tax bill of $20,000, Mayor,
Thank you, Mr.
in
Young.
10 years.
Thank you, Mr. Young.
My $10,000 tax bill will become $20,000.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Further public comment? Christine.
Christine Kelly Lasella, 37 Belmont Street. So at the last meeting, I had brought up some issues about appointments and how people are being appointed to boards and commissions, and that I just feel it should become less political. So a couple of things. I was happy Councilor Timborough and Councilor Clancy addressed it at the end of the meeting. So I didn't bring it up during second public comment, but I had some notes. And I appreciate them bringing it up. And it did make me more aware that I think the public isn't aware that you guys don't see resumes of the people that are on these boards and commissions. And I do hear a lot, it's hard to get people to volunteer, XYZ. But maybe another option too, I never see anything publicly, hey, we're looking for people for Park and Rec, hey, planning and zoning, hey, the library board needs somebody. And I know I can look them up, I can find it, but I don't know that a lot of people know where to look. But I reflected back on some of my statements, and I had sent an email, and I didn't get a response from anybody regarding a member of the Park and Rec board. And I felt at that time, and I still do, particularly that we have $650,000 secured. I don't know if it's $650 altogether or plus $250,000 a community investment fund planning grant for the community center, for our senior center, which is fabulous, fabulous news. If in fact we are going to improve the community center where it is, which I think that's the plan. It's intimidating to know that somebody on the Park and Rec board made the statement that she did regarding we will remember these statements about the old people in town when it comes time to make decisions on the community center. And I backed myself up back to 2020, and I'll make this brief. There was a guy on the Republican council named Brooks Parker, and they were doing a Zoom meeting. Few of you were here on the council. He dropped an F-bomb, said I could care less about, or I'm doing my taxes, you know, I could care less about the budget or what have you. The Democrats, from what I researched, the Democrats, I don't know if it was the council or the Democratic Town Committee, wrote an email, wrote a letter, and requested the Republican mayor at the time to remove him from council because he represents our town. Another statement was made by Amy Bello. It was from the Hartford Courant. His comments show a total disrespect for our town department, schools, library, and our residents. Public trust has been broken. Now more than ever, we need public officials to be leaders, showing dedication, understanding, and a willingness to work for our community. I feel that was in 2020, but that should be true every year, every day. And if the Democratic Town Committee is choosing the members to sit on every board, it doesn't feel right because I don't vote for them. I vote for people up there, and the whole community does. We don't, and I'm not saying you shouldn't have a screening committee with them, but I feel something needs to change. And I've gone over the HDC appointments. You have a Democrat, Catherine Simons. She's on Historic District. She's been on since July of 2023 as an alternate. She was looked over and wasn't moved up to be a regular commissioner by an appointment that the Democratic Town Committee made of Scott Wands. He was put on July 21st, 2025, and she's still an alternate. And there was somebody else I told you who had applied and didn't even get looked at, who was qualified. And not to say Mr. Wands isn't qualified, but somewhere in here, he was put in there over somebody else, and I don't know what that reason was. I've been told, well, there was no precedent, but there is. The Historic District's been around since the 50s, late 50s, and there is a precedent as to how people are moved up. There's another unaffiliated. He was put in, same thing, end of July. He registered to vote on July 14th of 2025 as an unaffiliated, and he was put on the Historic District Commission July 21st, 2025, a week later, as an unaffiliated. Sure, he's a great guy, but you guys didn't see his application. Nobody saw his resume. And the gentleman who did apply for the position also was overlooked, was John Maycock, who had served 10 years in the past on HDC. So again, I know I'm like repeating myself, but I'm just really want to encourage you guys and gals to let's try to make some changes in how these appointments are made and get the word out there. There's 27,000 people in our town. I know they're not all adults, but I think a lot of people would welcome the opportunity, and I think you all have to see their resumes and let's work together, not as Democrats and Republicans.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you. Further public, Mr. Woodward. Bob?
Thank you.
Bob Woodward, 456 Middletown Avenue here in Weathersfield. First thing I want to do is pick up on something I said the last time, based on revaluation, the school thing we just voted, and taxes. Please, as we get toward next April and a budget, work hard to bring the budgets down, the school budget and the town budget. And please work hard to rebalance taxes from home ownership to commercial. It's interesting seeing your postcards going out, and I'm wondering what will happen as I read the postcards from both parties. Please do that. Taxes are getting high, food costs are high, tariffs are going up. You know what's out there, you pay bills. Please bring the town budgets down and rebalance where we're at. Second thing, based on the Declaration of Independence, which says that taxes should be fair, just, and equitable, I have decided that when I come in here in late November or December and pay the second half of my taxes, I am withholding $2 from it. The $2 is my estimate of what my share of the recent vote on September 16th cost. It cost somewhere between $20,000, $25,000. Divide that by the approximate number of tax properties in town, and I came up with $2. And I will put a note with that and give a note to the appropriate people, but I have decided I am not going to pay that. It could have been done on November 4th. It should have been done on November 4th, and I'm not going to support that. I have already given the $2 to a woman who goes to the same church that I do, who's a little older than I am, and walked in a hunger walk recently. I did more good with the $2 there than supporting a vote that didn't need to happen on September 16th. Lastly, I'm going to give you a challenge for whoever comes back on council, whoever is elected to council. Please form some kind of a committee without lawyers and look at the ambulance situation. Go back and look at the history. It was founded almost 70 years ago. How was it founded? Why was it founded? Why wasn't it connected with the fire department in town? Cromwell's is. Mr. Bailey probably could have some insight into that. What difference would that make? What do other towns do? What is the pattern that's out there? We're losing something that we've had for a long time that we don't need to lose. There's one town that does pay per diem. They can't get enough volunteers, but the ambulance goes out. They make the decision. Can we handle this, or will we call a professional ambulance? And then they decide which professional ambulance gets called, depending on what part of town they're in. There's all kinds of options out there. But we need to start looking at this because we're throwing something away. And why is Aetna the chosen ambulance? What are the criteria for a professional ambulance? And there's other ambulances out there, AMR, Trinity, Hunters, and probably many that I'm not aware of. I'm going to give you this as a challenge. Put a group together, a group that does not include lawyers, and start asking questions and start looking at the answers and interviewing people. Do something to save the town's ambulance. It's part of the town. You would not do this to the fire department. You wouldn't do it to the police department. Stand up for the ambulance, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Further public comment? Anyone else from the public? Seeing none, we're going to move on in our agenda to council reports. Does any counselor have a report this evening? Seeing none, we're going to move on to council comments. Does any counselor have a comment this evening? Wow, I'm going to, oh, okay. Counselor Timbrow.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I was able to volunteer at the Cove Carnival this weekend, and it was a lot of fun. I volunteered on Friday, and then my son's 6th birthday was on Saturday, so I was there yet again with my family, and it was just a really great time, and I just love that we do that, and got to talk to and see a bunch of people, and everyone looked like they were having a great time. And I just want to thank our police officers for doing a great job too. I know I felt safe, and there's a lot of kids and a lot of young adults, and it was just a blast. So.
Thank you, Councilor Timbrow. Thank you for volunteering. I think Councilor Rhodes, you also volunteered, and I was there. Councilor Rhodes?
Yeah, I want to follow up on that. This weekend was an unusually fun weekend for volunteering. We did the worked concessions at the high school football game on Friday night, and I know that some of the Republicans did a couple weeks before. And what we do up here is public service, right? We're volunteers, and sometimes I forget why I serve, and I serve because I enjoy serving, and this is sometimes hard, right? It's not all fun and joyful, and opportunities like the football game and like the Cove Carnival and some of those other kinds of opportunities to volunteer in town were such a good reminder about how good it feels to do something just to help somebody else, for whatever reason. And so I really encourage people to, if you're feeling like, and I'm a therapist, I talk about this with clients. If you're feeling like you're struggling and you're having a hard time, something that can really lift you up is to be like, hey, I have a neighbor who needs a driveway shoveled, or here's an organization that needs volunteers. And this weekend was just a really good reminder for me about how good that feels to just be with other people, doing good things for others. I completely agree. The carnival was really fun to work at. It was great.
I hope you guys got to go on some of the rides. Council Rhodes or Council Timbrow?
I didn't have a choice.
Thank you both. Further council comments? I have a few, but is anyone else? No? Well, I had the Cove Carnival on there. I want to thank all our police officers, Parks and Rec, and all staff that help with that. I want to talk about a couple upcoming events. Tomorrow night is the 60th anniversary of the Chamber of Commerce in Wethersfield. Dinner, that's at 5:30. I think some of the councilors are going to that. On October 22nd, which is this Wednesday night at 6:30 at Incarnation Church, is an anniversary marking celebration, or celebration of life, I should say, for firefighter Sharkovich. That's at 6:30 this Wednesday night. The following week on the 29th, there's actually two events that night. The first is the WEC, which is the Early Childhood Collaborative's annual dinner. That's at the Keeney Ballroom. That is on the 29th. And also on the 29th is the 50th anniversary event of the shopkeepers, who do a great job for us in Wethersfield. And that is at the Webb Barn. And that is at the same night, similar times, but councilors, these are open to the public. They're both free. You can probably go to both, and they're right, Keeney and Webb right next, right across the street from each other. I also wanted to take a few minutes. This is our last council meeting of this council, and I wanted to take a few minutes to thank some folks and to talk about some of the things I think the town has done in terms of moving forward and the progress and this council has done. But let me start with the thank yous. First of all, to the public, and most importantly, those here tonight and all throughout the town who have given us so much support, given us so many ideas, and have really been a great partner in the last 2 years in terms of the public. I've had the joy of meeting so many people in the last 2 years. It's been wonderful, and we appreciate all the input you give us tonight and all the time, whether it's at a council meeting or not. Also want to thank all of our staff, all of our employees, all of our staff that help with these meetings, and all of the employees. Last week, I got to go to the employee recognition luncheon and say a few words of gratitude to thank our hardworking, dedicated employees throughout town. To our counselors, I know Councilor Clancy is not running again. We thank you for your service. It takes a lot, and we appreciate all you've done for Wethersfield, both on the council and in years of service, and we hope you'll continue to serve in other ways. To all of my fellow counselors, it's been a pleasure to work with you. Wish you all luck in election and all the other things you do, and thank you for your service to the town. I do want to give you guys a quick list of what I think is an important thing to do in terms of our accomplishments in the last 2 years. So bear with me. We have quite a few, but it won't take long. One is the passage of the school referendum, which is going to uplift our teachers and our students and our community. Second is in the area of economic development. We've had over 40 new businesses start in the last 2 years, over $28 million in business investments in the last 2 years, as well as hundreds of new jobs created and significant movement on long abandoned business properties, which will help all of us in terms of shifting some of that tax burden. The senior center was mentioned tonight. I'll just say we've started some short-term improvements there. You may have seen the flooring is new and new paint in the as you walk in. We also have secured, it was mentioned in the public tonight, $650,000 total, which will be for short-term improvements as well as planning for long-term improvements. Part of was mentioned Vision Zero, not part of Vision Zero, but part of this whole traffic safety is this council early on passed red light and speed cameras. We're just about ready to implement them by year end. We're the 5th town in the state of Connecticut that was approved by the State Department of Transportation. And I'll just say, we all have to slow down And reckless driving is a problem in the country, in the state, and it's certainly a problem here in Wethersfield. There's too many accidents. We have to fix this as one way. I want to mention firefighter call pay. We increased the incentives significantly for firefighters when they go out on a call, which is good for retention and recruitment. The revaluation has been mentioned a few times, in taxes. I want to tell you that the first time in Wethersfield's history, we did a phase-in of the revaluation, a 4-year phase-in, and what that does, it helps the most residents save that had the most significant increases in terms of not having to pay all at once. It's incremental, and it actually is a savings. Bike walk was mentioned tonight. I want to say something. We got, thanks to the work here of these folks and others in town, in the committee, we won a national award as a bike-friendly community, first time ever, so thank you, appreciate that. I have a few more, and I'm almost done. We passed an enhanced blighting ordinance. We had the first ever murals committee in Wethersfield, and we had our first public mural, and public art all across the country is enhancing communities. We have our first one in Wethersfield, and we have the beautiful mural at the Pitkin Center as a dedication to our fallen heroes. Out in the hallway, we won the distinguished, it's hanging in the hallway, Wellspring Award, which goes to communities that promote healthy aging and inclusivity. We are one of only 3 towns in the entire state of Connecticut to win that prestigious award. And the last thing I'll mention that's been something fun for me is we launched the Kid Mayor and Kid Board of Ed Chair program about 2 years ago. And we've had so many kids apply. It's been a real joy. And the purpose of it is to teach young people about democracy with a special emphasis about teaching them or for them to learn about local government. So I'm very pleased with all the progress we've made in the last 2 years, and I'm excited to, whatever the next council is, for them to build, whoever's on there, to build on the progress. And that's all I have for council comments. Does anybody have anybody else? If not, we will move on.
Want to mention early voting?
So thank you for reminding me, Councilor Carbone, and you see it here. Early voting started today. It was from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. It runs through Sunday, November 2nd. There isn't any on Monday. I hope I have that right. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. And then we have general election November 4th. So there is basically 2 weeks of early voting. We encourage you all to go out and vote. Good. Okay. Just moving on now in our agenda, we have the management report. Erica?
Yeah, sure. Just really quick, we might have known, that Joy Zach left us for another opportunity not that long ago, and I'm happy to announce that we've secured a new economic development manager, Kurt Lang. He actually started today. He's been in local government management for the last 25 plus years. He spent a lot of time in the city of Hamden, where he's from. He was the chief administrative officer. He was also the mayor. He worked in the city of Bridgeport in community development, especially housing and HUD-based work in the early 2000s. And most recently, he was with the Winchester Housing Authority as their executive director. So we're excited to have Kurt with us. He'll be here soon, I'm sure, before, I guess now the next council. But we're excited to have Kurt with us, and I think he brings a lot of different background and perspectives, and he's got a lot of good ideas about economic development, and really one of his strongest areas is his ability to communicate with people and to get out there, and I think to be able to meet with businesses, meet with different stakeholders, and get things moving along and do the good, continue the good work that's happened here already. So we'll see Kurt soon.
Thank you,
Yep.
Assistant Town Manager. We appreciate it. Does that conclude your report?
That does conclude it.
Okay.
Yep.
Sue, Town Clerk's report?
I have nothing to report.
Thank you. We have no bids. Next item on the agenda, and we have a deliberately kind of short agenda tonight. This is our last meeting, but we do have the consent agenda. Do I have a motion? Deputy Mayor Forrest.
Thanks, Mayor. Before we get going on the consent agenda, I'm going to make a subsidiary motion to remove and table for an indefinite time the appointments for Deb Cohen and Sara Trueax from the consent agenda.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Durek. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Do I have a motion? Deputy Mayor Forrest.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Now I move approval of the consent agenda, the remaining consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on, we have no ordinance or resolutions, no unfinished business, no new business, no new ordinances tonight. Now we are on the second, so we're item O, councilors, or anybody else looking at the agenda, the second public comment. And councilors, you'll be happy to know there is no executive session tonight. So I now invite this public who wishes to speak in the second public comment section. Anyone? Going once? No, no one? Mr. Young, did you? Yeah, Mr. Young.
Robert Young, 20 Copper Mill Road. As I was talking earlier, the person who owns, or the theoretical person that has that property that is known as the median valued home in Weathersfield, was hit with $1,007 this taxing period, and will continue for the next 3 more years, at least. And then, of course, after that, and his tax bill was $8,200, Mayor, and in 4 years it's going to be pushing up to $10,200. That's a $2,200 increase. Then from there, as we go down to the year 2030, well, let's go to 2030, his bill then, per the calculations, is going to be $13,300 tax bill. As we drop down another so many 10 more years, that bill will be $21,293, roughly. But that doesn't take into account for the town councils at that time to be borrowing any more money, such as your second phase 2. When phase 2 kicks in, all of this goes out the window, and everything increases more. As you want to buy a dump truck on your 7-year credit plan with your bank, it's going to go up. As you buy turf for Catone Field, it's going to go up, because everything you buy on credit going forward is going to make these numbers go up. In the year 2040, it's going to be that medium valued home is going to be at $25,000 property tax. This is unsustainable for anybody. And then as you get to the very end, 2046, when the last payment is made, that same house is going to be valued at the tax bill is going to be $32,000 a year. That's a tremendous amount of money. And Mayor, in your case, in the 2046, your house tax bill should be around $46,000 a year. You're paying $16,000 right now. Think of the compounding of this money. And that includes no more debt. Your explanatory text says there was no more debt. You weren't planning on any more. But we all knew that was a lie. We all knew that when we read it. But the fact remains, the homes are going to become a burden on everybody. Not the wealthy like the mayor. His will only go up, what, $42,000. These other people are going to be catching up to him because of the compounding effect. And they live in little postage stamp properties with little Cape Cods or little ranches on them. And those homes will not be saleable. You're supposed to be a banker, Mayor. I mean, you know all about qualifying an individual to buy a house. These home taxes are going to decrease the values of the homes. My house is going to be, in the year 2046, is going to be $33,000. Who the hell would buy my house and have to work in the tax issue, the insurance issues, what's it, PMI they call it? Taxes, principal, whatever that is. People need to start off with hundreds of thousands of dollars a year just for tax purpose, just for income. And we're not going to have that because the little people are going to go into foreclosure. The little people that are living on those little postage stamp homes, lots, they're going to lose their property, or the tax liens will take them over because they can't sell them. They won't be able to buy and move on. You know, Mr. Durek said in somebody said in his Facebook, oh, his taxes will only go up slightly. Slightly.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Thank you.
This is going to be devastating,
Thank you, Mr.
Mayor,
Young.
and your name will be all over it.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Further public comment tonight? Anybody? Christine.
It's just quick. Christine Kelly Lasella, 37 Belmont Street. Just two things. The speed cameras, and don't quote me on this, because I did not fact check it with the police department. Route 99 in Maple Street, Route 99 in Wells Road, Berlin Turnpike Arrow Road, and Berlin Turnpike Knott Street, but I don't have an official confirmation of that. But and the other thing I had mentioned earlier about the community center, I gotta go to bed. $650,000 secured, and maybe somebody can answer during councilor comments. And then there's $250,000 from a community investment fund planning grant. So is it $650 altogether or $650 plus?
I'll take that one. Yeah, thank you.
And that was all.
That's it? Thank you, Christine.
Thank you all. Good luck to you. Thank you.
Further public comment tonight? Rob? Yep.
No sign. Rob O'Connor, 180 Main Street. This is more of a personal thing. One thing about the speed cameras, it's something I'm hoping to talk to Bike Walk Wethersfield, but I know there's going to be money coming from those cameras, and I've seen places like Seattle use the penalties for those things to fund their bike programs, and I think it's something that hopefully that the future council might look at, even if it's the helmet fund. We go for these, we wouldn't want our program to be hurt by not being able to do that. So what I was going to say first was, how do you guys do this? How do you stand up there and sit up there and run again and take my fellow citizens coming at you with personal, and this is not directed at anybody in the audience, how do you do this? How do you have people quote your mortgages to you and then use it against you? It's just a question. It's a hypothetical. My other hypothetical question is, I don't know what, of all the bicycle advocacy I've done, and after doing 4 schools with 4th graders, 10 years old, teaching them that, you know, to stop at a stop sign, to do the safe and the right thing, and then to have somebody, and I don't even know, I can't remember who it was, but somebody said something like, cyclists run stop signs and they're not gonna be waving a flag if they get hit. That's a person that comes up in front of you, I think, I'm not sure, this is all hypothetical, gets up and talks about somebody getting hit by a car and then sitting over and gloating over it. As somebody, as Mrs. Mahaly has been hit, I've been hit by cars twice. I got hit right here coming from a meeting on Church Street and got hit by South Windsor. I stop at stop signs. I follow the regulations and teach those regulations, and 99% of the people who ride bikes and walk do that also. And when crashes occur, the 4,000-pound vehicle that may be somebody who doesn't stop at a stop sign and gets hit by that vehicle and killed doesn't deserve to have a flag waved over them or insinuated that they'd be happy that somebody would actually get hit. So being one of those riders, I hope that people in the town would not do that for me. And again, I thank you guys for all you do.
Thank you, Rob. Any other public comment. Anybody else? Hearing none, I'll just answer Christine and say the 650,000 is total. Came in two different tranches, 200 and then 450, but the 650 is total. And I'll also point out for the public,
I just, if she's writing this down, because I know Christine, I think it was 250 for the CIF grant and then
Yeah.
400
from the state, the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so no, you can correct me.
Sorry, I did.
Yeah, no, I stand corrected. My apologies. 400,000 was put in the state budget for the senior center and 250 on the CIF grant. So 650 total. And the last thing I'll mention is, and this has been tradition in Weathersfield for a long time, we will not have a meeting the first Monday in November as we normally meet on the first Monday because of elections. So the next council meeting will be Monday, November 10th, and it will be the swearing in of the new council. We have no executive session, so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody. We're adjourned.